Hello, I am Rabbi Howard Goldsmith, and I am joined once again by my friend and colleague, Rabbi Ira Eben. And this is Sacred Text Left to Right. Not today, not tonight, not yet. Today we are focusing on Chanukah as it begins this week. Ira, can I introduce this wonderful text that you found for us?
Yes, please do. I'm just going to explain that it's in the Tractate Avodah Zarah, 8a, if I'm not mistaken, discussing many of the laws pertaining to how we deal with non-Jews during this period of time of the holiday season. And then there's this fascinating text that presents you and how he's going to read it for us.
Okay. So we've just, in just the previous segment, Adam has been fasting because Adam sees the days getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And then we read, once he saw that the season of Tevet, the winter solstice, had arrived, and saw that the day was progressively lengthening after the solstice, Adam said, clearly the days became shorter and then longer, and this is the order of the world. He went on and observed a festival for 8 days. Upon the next year, he observed both these 8 days on which he had fasted on the previous year, and these 8 days of his celebration as days of festivities. Adam established these festivals for the sake of heaven, but they, the Gentiles of later generations, established them for the sake of idol worship. So here we have an origin story for the notion of festivities around the winter solstice, and the assertion of the rabbis who had an ambivalent relationship with Hanukkah to begin with. The assertion of the rabbis is that Adam established this solstice celebration as a celebration and dedicated it to God. So, Ira, would you like to please give a first perspective on all of this?
Yeah, so I think the rabbis are working backwards, as they often are, because nobody was there when Adam was born. It was kind of, he was all by himself, and we have no records other than what it says in the Torah. But the rabbis are looking at these holiday practices at the time that there were some pagan holidays with lights, and they lasted 8 days, etc., etc., and they're wondering, where did this come from? And so here they say, come up with this idea. You know what? It has a place from the idea of the winter solstice. And I think it's called Saturnella, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. And then now it starts making sense, is that where did the holiday of Hanukkah come in? As Howie was mentioned, the rabbis had a lot of issues with the holiday of Hanukkah, especially during that period of time. It evolved later on already in the 9th, 10th, 11th century. And now after Adam Sandler, it's really big. But the holiday now then was, okay, where did this holiday come from? Well, it's possible that the families kind of set it up. The Hashmonaim families, after the military victory, set it up that it would be a winter solstice with lights, similar to the pagan rituals that were done, which had some sort of original intent. They weren't necessarily only pagan. There was some original intent when Adam set it up all those years ago in the beginning of time.
Okay, so I don't see this as a bad thing. I think that this is a nice thing that connects us with our neighbors, indeed with all of humanity, that when we are at our darkest time, we seek light. And we peg that light on the victory of the Maccabees and rededicating the temple. And we come up with this miracle that a little bit of oil can shed a lot of light. And the fact that our neighbors are also celebrating and bringing light into our community and into the world at this darkest time, I see it as a beautiful thing. I think it speaks to humanity. And the rabbis, maybe unwittingly, by choosing Adam, the very first person, the person from whom all people come, not only the Jews, it indeed intimately ties us with our neighbors in the celebration of this festival.
So it's a nice idea that what you're saying is that Adam was the original man. He is the universal man, and therefore it shows that this is the holiday season of universal holiday season. They do it for their reasons, we do it for our reasons. Everybody's happy. We all sing songs and sway back and forth, and that's great. And I would agree that the rabbis were clearly trying to do that then, 1,500 years ago when the Talmud is being written. The question is today and in contemporary times, is that a positive? Is it a positive thing that the Hanukkah holiday has been so influenced by the contemporary version of holidays, and losing some of its identity because of that? Sounds like you like it, right? We were talking before. Last year, the Hanukkah and Christmas coincided, right? And some people loved it, right? Everybody joined together and celebrating holidays together. I actually called it the year that Christmas stole Hanukkah, like the Grinch. right? Because Hanukkah lost its own identity. Suddenly it was only about this holiday season and no longer like this year where I prefer it. We have our time for Hanukkah. We can truly get the essence of Hanukkah. And their holiday, they'll celebrate their holiday on their own. And that's wonderful. Enjoy it. But at least Hanukkah doesn't get swallowed up by the overbearing big brother, as it is today, Christmas. I'm not going to say bully, but at least big brother.
Yeah, intellectually, I can understand where you're coming from, and knowing the text and knowing the history, I appreciate and honor where you're coming from. And at the same time, what I see around me is a lot of Jews who might otherwise be somewhat disconnected, getting swept up in the season and taking a holiday that was a minor festival by all admission, and making it into a pretty major one of the major observances of the Jews. So I see myself with two choices at this moment. I can either bemoan the fact that instead of Shabbat or Shavuot or some more important holiday, people are celebrating this minor little thing, this almost footnote in the Talmud. Why can't they instead celebrate, let's choose Shavuot, a major festival? I would hazard that it's one of the least observed festivals, right? But they picked this minor one. And at the same time, I have Jews who are enthusiastic about doing something Jewish. Everybody has a menorah at home. Not everybody. Almost everybody has a menorah at home.
Right.
Everybody has a dreidel. So then I have a choice. I can either get up there and lecture them and say, this is a minor holiday. This holiday doesn't matter. You should be observing Shavuos. Let me give you a flint and read you the Ten Commandments. But no, instead, I want to embrace them, and I want to say, look, there are aspects of this holiday and the fact that we do it at this time of year that we share with our neighbors. And there are also incredible particularistic things about this holiday. The notion of the miraculous and identifying the miraculous in our lives and seeing the miraculous grow and grow over the 8 days. The notion of Jews standing up for who we are, as the Maccabees did, or maybe they didn't, but that's the story that we tell. And how can we as Jews stand up for who we are, and differentiate ourselves even at this time when we're celebrating just like our neighbors? So I want to take this and use it as an opportunity to pull in and to celebrate who we are, to celebrate what we have, as minor as it might be historically, and thereby help to increase the light. Sorry, I couldn't help it. Increase the light of Judaism in people's lives.
Okay, you get fined for doing that canned part, but really the question becomes is when we call it lechatchila or b'diavad, meaning lechatchila b'diavad. We're already in a situation now that this is where it's come. Hanukkah has been swept up by the other holidays. There's nothing we can do about it. We might as well just embrace it and give everybody a big hug. Lechatchila, ideally, I think there's a challenge here, because the reality is that part of Hanukkah was, and you kind of referenced to it with a little bit of tongue-in-cheek, the theme of Hanukkah was really to keep our individuality, to stay separate, to recognize that we have our own holidays and we're not going to be sucked up by the Assyrian Greeks and the other culture. That the Hellenists were trying to squash and first incorporate the Jewish traditions and then basically swallow them up like they were doing it all over the world as a supreme empire. And Hanukkah is about the individuality of the Jewish people. The symbolism, I'm going to get a little corny here, of the oil separating from the water, that it separates from all other liquids. And that's the uniqueness of Hanukkah. When it comes to the end of December, if Hanukkah was in March or something like that, or wherever, it wouldn't have its big bang, but it would keep its definition, its meaning, its significance behind it, which we've really lost now, because now it's all about gifts and lights and shopping, and I shouldn't say all of it, but that's a great deal.
Well, I think that last piece you said is important. If it was all about those things, we'd be completely on the same page. But I do believe that because of where we are now, we have an opportunity. So I embrace that opportunity to get the light out, to get the message out. On Friday, on Shabbat, we're going to have all of our families come to shul and bring their own Chanukiah, their own Chanukiot. And everyone is going to light up our sanctuary with the lights of those menorahs. And when I have over 200 people in my sanctuary celebrating Chanukah, celebrating Shabbat, spinning dreidels, singing and joyfully laughing, a little piece of me is grateful for that opportunity, is grateful to use what's already out there and to help people connect it with a tradition that goes back a long way. I don't know if it goes all the way back to Adam. I'm a little bit skeptical of that.
Right.
And I know that, the rabbis had to deal with this holiday, and so they did it in their way. And, the Maccabees, there were influences all along. Influences when the Maccabees set this up by looking at these solstice festivals, when the rabbis set it up and said, we need a miracle to celebrate, not just a military victory. And influences today with the broader Christian majority culture that we live in, with the presents and the lights and everything else. I'm interested, now that we're here, what do we do? And I think that the opportunity to connect is more important than the challenges that it presents.
So I don't disagree with you, obviously. I mean, listen, we're given the cards that we're dealt with, and so this is an opportunity. It would be ridiculous and silly of us to miss out on the opportunity. But I would highlight one thing, and that is that you're going to bring your entire community, and that's wonderful. They're all going to bring their Chanukah. They're all going to light 200 lights in your sanctuary. That's wonderful. The obligation that the rabbis put in for the lights of the Hanukkah lights is ner ish ubeito, which is each person in their home. That the role of Hanukkah was supposed to be emanating to the world, but from their home. And that the necessity of making sure that your home is a Jewish home, that your home has the lights within it in order to be able to shine outside. And so that's the individuality, the uniqueness, the specialness of the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah, that I would like for it to remain Jewish in the Jewish home. And then we can shine the light outside and share it with the rest of the world and all their other lights too. But I'd like to start from the home.
And if I can start in the shul and spread to the home, I'm happy with that too.
That's good answer, Howie.
Thank you. Wishing you a very happy Hanukkah, Ira.
You as well, to you and your entire community.
Thank you.